All right, everybody, so we're going to build a plant stand. Here's what the end product is going to look like. It's sturdy. It's made out of 2x4s and 4x4s. So let's take a look at a drawing. This is the side view. You can see that the total length is 6 feet 7 inches, and the height is 20 inches on the 4x4. If you look down at the top view, you can see that the rails in between the 4x4s are 6 feet exactly. So that's how you get to 6 feet 7. 4x4s are 3.5 inches wide square, so that's 7 inches. So if you look at the boards in between the two 6-foot rails, I have to be determined the length, because when you actually get this put together and you're going to cut those boards, it's just better to measure those directly and check several spots across there so that you're cutting them exactly. And so that's why that is set up that way. And the end stretchers between the post on the end are 17.5. So with the width of the 4x4s, that's 24.5, which gives me a 1/4 inch leeway on each side when I start laying down the hardware cloth. All right, let's take a look at some materials list here. This list is for supplies for one stand, so you would have to, multiply this by however many stands you want. But you need one 4x4 by 8 pressure treated posts, two 2x4 by 8 pressure treated boards, two 2x4 by 8 boards. These can be pressure treated. You would be best to have them pressure treated. And you need 8 2x Simpson hangers. You'll have to look at the ones in the video. There's all kinds of hangers, so you just have to look at the ones that I'm using. But then you need a box of number 10 1.5 screws for the Simpson hangers. They're located right next to the hangers. And one box of 2.5 inch deck screws, generic deck screws that you would use. And you need a roll of 1/2 inch hardware cloth of your choice, and then staples for the hardware cloth. Some kind of saw, preferably a power saw or a miter saw, a hammer, and a screw gun. All right, so the first thing you're going to do obviously is cut your wood, and here I got my 4x4s at 20 inches, my rails, pressure treated 2x4s at 6 feet. Then I have 2 stringers for each corner, or for each end, with my deck screws, my metal screws for the hangers, and the hangers there themselves. So here's a close-up of one of the hangers. You just want to make sure you get the 2x version, not the 1x. I did use a 1x on my shed when I was framing it out from the inside. But these things are great, and you can put so many screws in them. And here are the screws. They're number 10 screws, 1.5 inches long, and they fit in there great. And they're not going to go anywhere once you get them fastened in. So there's a look at the wood after I cut it. And if you have a power saw, it's really going to help. And from here, we're going to take a look at how to put the hangers on, or at least the easiest way I found after doing several different modes. So you see, you put the hanger up there, you use your spacer 2x4 to position the hanger properly onto the post. And then if you want, you can just use a pencil to mark the holes, but I just get my drill and put a screw on the end of it and screw it in right there. And that will put it where it needs to be. And this is just a lot easier than trying to stand it up and put it on and hold the board right, or even when I had it upside down and was going against the floor of the garage here, this turned out to be the easiest way. And you can put the other hanger on at the same time. So go ahead and give this a try. I think you'll like it the best. And just get your screws in there and take your time. Don't cut your hand on the edges of these hangers. They're not real sharp. They are rounded off to a bit, so you're likely to cut your finger more when you're putting on the hardware cloth. But anyway, so there you go. You got one side done, and it's spaced correctly for the rail to go across there. So you can do another one, and this is what it looks like when you get done. You got all four posts sitting there. You can see the hangers on. Two hangers on each post, and now all you have to do now is take one of those rails and place it in the slots on the hangers for it to rest on, and then you can just screw the rail into place. Now, if you do have some long bar clamps, I didn't have ones long enough, but you could clamp these together. It'd be 6.5 feet long clamp, and it's up to you, but it would keep it snug up against the post. And you could hold it and do the kind of the same thing, but a clamp would be nice. It would take maybe a little bit longer, but it would be a tighter joint. But I didn't have any real issues with this. I took my time, as you can see here, and got my screws ready, and then I just held it as tight as I could and screwed it in. Done. Here's a picture of it showing you the rail attached to the posts and all screwed in. You can also put a screw in, or two if you want, up underneath the rail to really hold it in, but it's not going to go anywhere, and it's real snug, pretty tight, and I was happy with it. So it's going to be strong enough to hold any weight that you put on it. I'm going to be putting my grow bags on here. Would be no issue at all, and especially when you get your cross braces in. So once you get that done, you can do the other one, connect them together. You're going to end up with the frame, and from here, at this point, I'm going to measure where I want my boards to be going across, the stringers going across the two rails there. So I'm starting at the end of the 6-foot rail, and I'm measuring 9 inches, and I'm going all the way down to the other end. And I'm going to do the other side the same way. So 9 inches, that it just happens to fit 72 inches total for a 6-foot rail. Now the space between the last rail and the end rail will be a little bit further. I didn't have a problem with that. If you're real anal and you want those to be exactly the same from one end to the other, well, you can do the math and you can figure it out, but it's not going to make any difference as far as how sturdy it is, or it won't cause any sag with the hardware cloth between the pieces, which is your main concern. As long as you pull the hardware cloth taut as you go, and you can only do so much of that, and I'll show you kind of what I did to make that a little bit easier. But anyway, here I am measuring the same distance on this side, and just take your time, make it right, so when you get these lined up, these cross pieces lined up, that they're 90 degrees. And then I just cut to fit my my cross pieces. Now I remember on the diagram it said to be determined, and this is where you're going to measure across and get the exact width of those rails so that you can match it perfectly. Your rails may be warped a little bit, or they just might be off. Maybe it's not completely square, so it's better just to cut to fit. Then I lay them down, and I'm going down each rail and pre-drilling my screws in at the marks that I made, and I'm just eyeballing it. I didn't use a square and draw a line or anything. I'm just going down and putting them in as I go. So this is where your deck screws come in handy. You need the ones that I'm using have that star bit on them, and I kind of like those. It holds it really well. And then I just take each one and I'm just holding it up flush and screwing in one end, and it holds it up good enough. And I just go down and do this side and come back around and drill in the other side. And that will, these things are going to be really sturdy. So there's no way there's going to be any sag at all. And this really firms up the frame as well, as you would expect. And then once you put the hardware cloth on, it's really secure. So it's a sturdy frame. You can put anything on this thing and it's not going to buckle on you. So but take your time, keep it as square as possible, but flush is really what you're trying to accomplish here. Make sure it's flush on top so that your hardware cloth will fit nicely on there. So there it is, and here I am putting the hardware cloth on. I just stretched it from you see the roll there on the end, I just pulled it over the edge, and as I go down from the far end, I just kind of pull it and push it towards that the end that's not fastened, and it's taut enough to make it very secure. So, but the pneumatic nailer is definitely the way to go. I did do my first one that I did. I used those poultry staples and did them one by one by hand, hammered them in, and that works just fine. Those are very sturdy once you get it in. It's just that you have to do it one by one. And if you do use those, get some needle nose pliers to hold the staple while you hammer, so you don't smash your hand. I just snipped the hardware cloth off, and now I'm going to come back and finish off the stapling process with my pneumatic stapler, and then we're done. And the hardware cloth that I bought, I think I got 50 feet, and I still had some left over after I did all of my stands, so there's plenty. Now, a lot of people would want to do 8-foot stands. I just find this easier for me to handle by myself. If I need to move it, I can pick up one end and drag it, and these turned out to be very sturdy, so you're not going to pull the leg off or anything like that when you're dragging it across the ground. So lots of staples here, and got it all done, and these things turned out to be really good, and I like the way they look, and I think they're much better than the first generation of stands that I built, which I don't have a problem with. But yeah, they look nice, and I did 5 of them, 4 or 5. I can't remember how many I did actually. But then once I get them in the garden, they really look good. So here I have 4 of them lined up, and with my grow bags on there, and they just really look good. So I appreciate everybody watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.